Okay.
Uh,
You know what's sad is I have a post-it on my computer that says record, and I forgot to remind you too. So it's good stuff. Good morning, everyone. My name is Matt Callahan. I'm the president of the Downtown Troy Bid Board of Directors. I'm a downtown property owner, and I'm also the vice president and general manager for the Tri-City Valley Cats. On behalf of the bid and our board of directors, I just want to welcome everybody to the annual meeting. Thank you for joining us this morning. The theme of the meeting is Discover Troy. So in talking to Katie, I thought that I would share a little bit about my personal discovery of Troy to kick things off today. For those that don't know me, I grew up in the Boston area and lived there until around 2007 when I decided to go to the baseball winter meetings in Nashville to pursue a career in baseball. I was looking to get my first job within the game. And I was pretty fortunate. I had a number of opportunities from across the country, a couple different offers, everywhere from Washington to California to the Midwest, and of course, right here in Troy with our hometown team, the Tri-City Valley Cats. So shortly after the meetings, my wife and I, we were dating at the time, came out to Troy for a visit, and wanted to check things out before we made a final decision. We visited the ballpark, but ultimately we spent more time downtown during our trip out here. We had dinner at Brown's. We visited Ryan's Wake and stopped into a whole host of other establishments while we were in town for that trip to visit. And we found an immediate connection with Troy. We really did. And shortly after taking the position here with the Valley Cats, we moved downtown. And we really, enjoyed and found a community down there that was special to us. After taking the job and moving out here, we figured we'd be here for a couple of years and then we'd probably end up moving. But ultimately, we became invested in downtown, both literally as property owners and figuratively and emotionally. We just fell in love with the city of Troy and downtown in particular. Lived there for over a decade and have really made a second home here in the capital region. One of the things that drew us to Troy really is the city's character. Troy is well known for its architecture, but I think it goes so much beyond that, so far beyond that. Each block, each building, and each business is unique and diverse across the downtown. There's really something new to discover in every corner of downtown, whether you've lived there for a couple months or a couple years or even longer. There's something new to find at every turn. I think we all know that Troy has its fair share of characters as well, but the character of the residents and the business owners and the visitors that come to Troy is something that stands out to me also. The immense pride of longtime residents of the city is something that is very obvious. And as somebody who moved to Troy, that was something that rubbed off on me and my family very quickly. The collaboration and creativity of so many of the small businesses that you all own and run downtown is truly impressive. And the resilience that everybody has shown over the past year, I think, is truly inspirational. As a transplant that now calls the capital region home, it's been amazing to see downtown Troy grow and change over the past 13 years. It hasn't always been smooth or a straight line or easy or perfect, but to see new restaurants, retail establishments, and development grow up alongside the institutions and anchors, the businesses and buildings that have been part of the fabric for downtown for so many years is really what makes it a dynamic place to live, work, play, and thrive. It's not old or new, it's both. And I think that's what makes our downtown so special. The mission of the bid and our board of directors is to foster an attractive and inviting environment for businesses to prosper, a community for residents to grow, a destination for visitors to continually explore. The bid is here to help amplify your reach, to support your efforts, and to encourage visitors to come to downtown continually. We all look forward to continuing to work together and collaborate on the bright future that Troy has ahead. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from Katie for the rest of the meeting. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that individualized experience. I think, so many people discover Troy without really meaning to. They kind of stumble upon it, and then it just happens that they get brought into this community and they feel like their family. So I'm glad that that was your experience. And I thank you for all of your efforts on the bid board and just supporting as much as you possibly can. So for today's meeting, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Just give me 1 second. And I will pop this into present mode. Can everybody see this? All right. So we are here today to discuss everything that happened over the past 2 years. So there's a lot to cover. If for some reason you need to hop off a little early, this will be recorded. We want to thank you all for being here today. I know this is not the traditional annual meeting and Discover Troy event that we would normally have. Normally we would be in person, and I'm hoping that next year that will be back again. But for this year, we do have a presentation of our annual report. You will also, after this meeting, receive the physical annual report, which is different than this presentation, but that is also going to be readily available to anybody. So if somebody was able or was missing this meeting, that is also a quick recap of everything that I'm going to go over today. So a huge thank you to the sponsors of this program today. Pioneer Bank and Community Preservation Corporation have both been longstanding sponsors of ours. We are thankful for the sponsors that we've been able to retain during this time. Sponsorship has been difficult because everybody is in such a difficult spot themselves, but it really does mean so much that our community is still here and supporting us. We will go over quite a few things today, but I did want to start with our strategic plan, which Matt had actually referenced our new mission. Our strategic plan began in 2019. Sorry, I have people texting me for the link. Matt, would you mind sending Dan Freeman the link for today? Our strategic plan was a long time in the making. We had talked about it for quite a long time. We tried a smaller version of it at one point and recognized that we needed to really do a full plan. And so in 2019, we entered into this and it had a very small group of individuals that were pushing it all forward, but we did have a wide reach into our community to understand what was needed, what people understood of the bid, and what they were looking for in our moving forward, right? So our new mission, which we were going to actually announce prior to now, it was supposed to be announced in 2020, but because of our annual meeting getting pushed off for the year because of COVID, we are excited to finally announce it now. Matt had said it before, but our new mission is that we foster an attractive and inviting environment for businesses to prosper, a community for residents to grow, and a destination for visitors to continually explore. As always, we do this through 4 main focuses. That is business development and retention programs, our public service and beautification, marketing and tourism, and special events. This is not all that we do, although most of what we do is encompassed under these 4 focus areas. Let me just check. I think we may have some participants in here trying to come in. Great. So this new mission was informed by our community, recognizing that we weren't necessarily representing in our mission what we really do. So really, this is a neighborhood. It is an area that people are able to engage with every day, and lots of different types of individuals are here, whether that is for their own businesses, whether that is that they live here, or that they're just visiting. So we want to amplify all of our community and make sure that everybody is recognized through our work. We also added a vision in 2019. We created this vision. And when you think about the difference between a vision and a vision is really when we would not be needed anymore, right? So if we were to do this and our community looked like this, we would no longer be needed. So our downtown Troy is an engaged and inclusive neighborhood that provides a unique collaborative environment for all people to live, work, play, and thrive. So that is our goal, right? We want to create a community where everybody is safe, where they're comfortable, where they can live, work, play, and thrive here. And when we do that, then we will no longer be needed. And that is the goal of every organization. We also incorporated new values, which we had not had before either. We recognize that collaboration is extremely important in everything we do. And we really recognize that it was so important during COVID to be able to collaborate with our neighbors, with other industries, with entities within the state, within our communities. So much of what we did in 2020 was collaboration. We also recognize that we have an incredibly rich culture and history. So we wanted to recognize that culture of Troy because it is a very diverse culture and it is so creative. We talk about this idea of it being collective creativity, that there is just so many individuals here and in such a mix of institutions, entities, businesses, individuals that really make up this culture. We also wanted to make sure that we noted inclusivity. We are committed to fostering a diverse and caring community. And as we saw in 2020, that is extremely important. And we want to make sure that that is something that we're doing in everything that we do. So this value is really important to us as well. Pride. There's so much pride in Troy. Pride of individuals who have been here for a very long time, pride of new people who are moving here and want to showcase this community to people that they know around them. And we want to embrace that history and pride. And we also note the riverfront community in this as the fact that we are a riverfront community and that we don't always necessarily think of us that way. But we are one of the only cities in really New York, in the capital region, especially, that really has access to our riverfront. So really looking at what are the aspects around us that we have and how can we bring pride in everything we do. Innovation. We saw this throughout the pandemic as well. We are an incredibly innovative downtown community, Troy community, with an entrepreneurial spirit that really shines through. And I think we are who we are today because of the people that are here and the innovation that exists here. Resourceful. We draw on assets and talents available to us through our community. So again, this year, every single thing brings us back to being resourceful, to being able to pivot, to recognize where we have talents, and using those assets that are around us to be able to really keep pushing forward even when times are tough. I mentioned partnerships and connection opportunities in this as one of our values, and I think that really plays through everything that we did this past year. We recognize that we need to build capacity through partnerships. We are a very small bid. Many bids operate with a much larger staff base, volunteer base. So we need to actually call on our partnerships, our collaborations, in order to amplify what we're able to do ourselves. We do work very closely with the city of Troy. Thank you, Monica, on the call today. We could not do what we do without being really connected to the city, involved in planning, involved in codes, involved in security and safety, because all of the questions that come to us every day are really directly tied to all of those different organizations and making sure that we can really understand the nuances of our city. We formed with a small group, the Rensselaer County Pandemic Response Committee, which I will explain a little bit more about later, throughout COVID. And this was an incredibly important committee to happen during this year because of everything that was going on. So I'll explain that a little bit later. We also recently, over the past year, have created with a group of partners, the Rensselaer County Business Equity Collaborative, or the Renssco BEC. This is a group that is working on DEI initiatives, looking at economic justice and making sure that our BIPOC businesses are able to advance and move forward and grow their businesses, and that they have support in doing that. So that will end up being a mentorship program that is released in 2022. We have also connected quite a lot with our political leaders locally. We work very closely with John McDonald and Pat Fahey this past year on some of the issues around the third-party delivery services, on PPP loans, on access to funding. Definitely just always in communication with them. We're also talking with them about some mental health issues and how those things are playing throughout the state as well as in our own areas. We also continue to serve on a lot of different committees. We sit on the Troy Cultural Alliance. We have helped the newly founded Future of Small Cities Institute. We also part of Troy 2020, which has recently changed its name, and I'm actually not remembering the new name of that right now. But let me just admit some more people here. But we really are calling on these partners to be partners, to be able to collaborate with one another and to be able to offer programs and assistance that is bigger than what we can offer ourselves. These are some quotes that if you're looking at the annual report, when I send it out, we have some really amazing partners that we've been able to work with this year. I do also want to note that we worked very closely with the Capital Region bids as well as the Upstate New York bids throughout the year. We met weekly for a while and then monthly, and it is clear to me that all of our communities are dealing with very similar issues, and that together we can try to understand within our own communities how we can kind of move forward, use each other as best practices, look to each other for resources, and understand how we can support our own communities with the collective. New this year, as part of our strategic plan, we decided to create an outreach committee. This outreach committee is actually going to replace our existing committee structure, which will incorporate this idea of an ambassador. The committee will be made up of ambassadors, which you can actually apply to be part of. The bid ambassadors are volunteers. I'm going to read this because it is quite good. The bid ambassadors are volunteers who live and work in the downtown Troy district, who will donate their time and talents to serve as a direct link between downtown Troy businesses, community members, bid staff, and its board members. So these individuals will serve a 1-year term on this brand new committee. It will include an annual orientation, monthly committee meetings, and quarterly town hall meetings. The ambassadors will regularly engage with individuals within their designated zones. So this is actually, downtown is broken up into 5 zones, and I'll show you that map in a minute. And these 5 zones, we would like to have a couple of individuals from each of those zones at least to represent their zone, and this is what their role will be. We would love for ambassadors to engage with individuals within their zone and to facilitate outreach with an impact. And this is a key note here, outreach with an impact. I think our goal this year is to make sure that everything that we're doing is really thought out, that we recognize what problems exist and how we can go ahead and move forward and address those issues in a strategic way, in a way where we actually have goals that are set and moving forward. So ambassadors will maintain regular contact with members in their zone. They will actively assist members in getting involved in downtown Troy bid events and programs, actively assist members in utilizing downtown Troy bid benefits, facilitate connections and collaborations among community members and bid staff, and relay any questions, ideas, or suggestions from community members. So like I said before, we are a very, very small staff. So the ability to have individuals in our community who are neighbors, friends, community members that are engaging with individuals within their own zones. Maybe they're representing their own industry, maybe they're representing an age group or their race, that these are people that they feel comfortable engaging with, so that they can then bring back information, because Joyce and I unfortunately just cannot get to everyone. So we would love to be able to do that, but it's just not possible in our existing structure. So these ambassadors would be able to really engage with our community and help us understand what our community's needs are. Opportunities as an outreach committee member, as an ambassador. This is the opportunity to network and explore with the people, places, and businesses within your zone, showcasing your talents, passions, and capabilities to a wide variety of individuals and decision makers, to interface with community and business leaders, working towards common goals and making a positive impact in downtown Troy. So these are the 5 zones, this map. This is also in our walking guide. So if you're interested, feel free to look at one of those walking guides and you can dig a little deeper into that. The outreach committee is on our Get Involved page as well. So if you are interested in that program, feel free to reach out to me for more information. But those applications are due June 15th if you were interested. Please note that the ambassador program, ambassadors will serve for 1-year terms. We are looking for approximately 10 to 15 people who will likely serve on that outreach committee. And we would expect that each one of these individuals would probably spend about 5 to 10 hours on this work monthly. That includes attending meetings, working within your community. If you would like to maybe create networking programs within your own zones, if you want to do events within your own zones, the BIG can support you in that. And this would be a great way to engage with your community and get to know them a little better. So member benefits, I think oftentimes people wonder, what is it that that we do? We do a whole lot, so it is hard to kind of, have a broad understanding of what it is we do. I would say we have more indirect and direct services. So we will go over some of those today. I do also want to note our membership by industry. We do a census every single year, and we have recently started adding in what industry everybody is in. So we actually have decided, based on our most recent census, that 40% of our downtown is professional service organizations, 17% are food and beverage businesses, 16% are retail businesses, 15% are personal service, and 9% are others, such as education, government, all sorts of other versions, event venues, things like that. I'm just going to drink something really quick. All right. So direct benefits that the bid offers, these are things that you can engage with as a member. We do have any business that is open for walking traffic or public engagement. So this is more of the retail, restaurant, personal service businesses, things like that. We have directories at downtowntroy.org. We also do directional signage, maps, and walking guides. So you are automatically, as a walking business, as a business that somebody would walk into, be available to walk into, are automatically included in that. And like I said, we do an annual census where we get an idea of all of the businesses within our community. So that is how we update those each year. Please keep in mind that the directional signage and maps, we are working with the city on a wayfinding initiative. So a lot of that stuff will likely be on hold until that new wayfinding initiative comes out. I'm not sure the exact timing on that, but we'll be looking forward to working with the city to create signage and things that will work alongside that new program. Members also have the option to participate in Trun It Out. I know Trun It Out is more often seen as more of those retail restaurant businesses, but there are a whole lot of community members who are interested in engaging in Trun It Out as well. So we have seen a lot of pop-up opportunities through Trun It Out, as well as a lot of cultural institutions looking to be part of that program. We also do promote that program monthly through our social channels and also with the local press. We usually do get some good coverage through that. Members are encouraged to participate in business promotional programs. So you saw some of those this past year with bingo cards and games. We often provide listings at neighborhood events and different holiday promotions and things like that. So please, if you have the opportunity, go ahead and engage with those. Members are encouraged to share exciting news, business promotions, events, and visual content with us. We want to make sure that we understand what you are offering so that we can promote it for you. So this is amplification of your business. We are not a marketing agency, but we do amplify what our community is doing and are happy to share your news with our community through our social channels, our newsletters, our communication with local press. New members or those that are celebrating milestones. We've done a couple of these over the past couple of years where a business maybe has a 10-year anniversary or 20-year anniversary. Maybe they have expanded into a new space or moved. We do ribbon cuttings and also the press associated with those ribbon cuttings. So we are happy to engage with you to go ahead and make sure people know that you exist, maybe know that you have a big milestone and sharing that with our community and with our press. Members are encouraged to connect directly with our staff. So if you have not done so before, feel free to reach out to us as individuals. Joyce is our communications administrator, and both of us are accessible as much as possible to go ahead and answer any questions you have, connect you with resources. We love to connect individuals for collaborations and amplify your business in any way that we would have possible. So go ahead and reach out if you have any questions or you're looking for resources. If you want to share your story with us, we are happy to do that. And we also engage directly with business development and retention programs. So we have opportunities for learning and connecting. We'll go over some of those things later, but there is some existing programs on our website that you can access at any time. Members may utilize our community billboard as well. If you have a space that is for lease, for sale, for rent, or if you have a job opportunity that's available, we use our community billboard to share that information. We also share that information in our newsletters, and that's where we kind of cross promote these things. You also, as a bid member, have the opportunity when events are back with vendors to vend at reduced rates for members. So indirect member benefits. So these are additional benefits that we do based on enhancing our downtown and amplifying our community. So these are things that may not directly affect you, or sorry, that you may not directly engage with, but they will affect you. So the bid creates and distributes promotional content, which we talked about before. So you may end up in some of those promotional contents for our Shop, Dine, Explore campaign, which I'll go into a little bit more in detail later. Amplification of your business through our social channels, introducing individuals to downtown Troy, driving walking traffic and engaging local residents. We do this through quality of life programming and events. So a good way of getting individuals into our community to experience our community and to recognize that it's a place that they want to be. We go ahead and offer as many programs for events as possible. So that includes like Trun It Out, Rockin' on the River, Riverfest, Pig Out, those kinds of introduction events into our community. And when I talk about quality of life programs, I also talk about Fitness in the Park, which is more of a residential based event. We also do street cleaning. We have a staff, Trevor is out on Monday through Fridays, cleaning up litter and debris from our sidewalks and parks. Litter is an incredibly important issue to manage in downtown because it is constant. So we have our staff out and making sure that everything is cleaned up as often as possible. We also maintain all the plantings and hanging baskets downtown. Thank you to Marie on the call for all of the downtown planters with Troy and Bloom. But we will be doing some hanging baskets as well this year, which I will mention a little bit later as well. In order to sustain and grow our diverse urban tree canopy, we also have a tree planting and watering program. So we actually just planted 10 trees last week or 2 weeks ago. We also do the holiday season plantings and other things like that. We maintain a cigarette butt collection program, which I'll mention a little later as well. And we represent member interests. I said that we talk or work with a lot of different collaborators. We work with state entities, officials, regional entities, local, and are basically sharing the news of downtown Troy as much as possible. So to go into a little bit of our main focus areas to explain what has happened this year, things that were new this year, things that had changed this year, and things that we just kind of wanted to note. For business development and retention. New in 2020, we created the small business resource page. This included reopening guidance, best practices, funding opportunities, contacts and helplines, webinars and trainings, state and local resources. We recognize that everything was changing so quickly in the beginning of the pandemic, and it seems like we're back in that position again with things just rapidly changing. So we want to make sure that you have all the information that you need in order to move forward. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out about funding opportunities, about resources. We will be happy to connect you with individuals who can support you in some of those different spaces. New this year, we also offered Global Entrepreneurship Week. This is not new to Troy. However, it was a different version of the event that took place. This is a global program. We offered 15 programs alongside this with a lot of our community partners. A lot of these community partners, they are listed on this here if you want to look into them more. This is a program that really showcased the entrepreneurship within our community. We partnered with a lot of great individuals and businesses to offer a schedule which included 15 programs, and the bid offered 6 of those different programs as well as the promotion for that event. Expanded in 2020, our Learn, Connect, Grow series. This shifted online this year, which, I mean, the timing of that could not have been better. The ability to offer blogs, videos, and podcasts that people can access at any time was extremely valuable to us. This connection opportunities as well with industry connection hours that we've basically pushed out through our social channels, through our LinkedIn, and making sure that our members have access to information. If you are looking for any information, we are happy to try to incorporate that into one of our Learn, Connect, Grow series in the future. And during the height of the pandemic, we actually shifted to a small business talk format where we worked directly with some of our businesses to understand what they were going through and some of their expertise areas. So that program had 256 individuals who signed up for our updates in their inbox. 75 individuals joined that LinkedIn group for further engagement. That is a group where people can comment and ask questions and get to know each other a little better. We also showcased 25 local experts through that program. And I think it's important to know that there are so many incredible individuals in this community that have so much knowledge. And the ability to share that knowledge amongst our community is just so important to us. And we love doing that throughout this program. This year, we also revamped our community billboard. I mentioned earlier that we have the opportunity to showcase any job opportunities, rent for lease spaces that are available. This community billboard has quite a bit of engagement with it to try to understand different spaces that are available for people to enter into a contract on, or if people are looking for a job, this is a great space for them to go. We recognize the importance of this community billboard, especially this year with so many new people moving to the area, as well as people who were losing their jobs and were needing to find places for them to work. We were surprised that in 2020, we actually had quite a lot of new businesses looking to open in downtown. Collective Effort and Lively Thai Bistro were right before the pandemic started. But we did continue to see businesses throughout the year opening, and we are seeing a lot more coming. So stay tuned for more additional businesses on their way. I mentioned the Rentsco Pandemic Response Committee, and this was such an important program for us throughout 2020. The ability to really call on other leaders within our community and understand the changing dynamics every day. We were meeting weekly at one point to really understand what small businesses were going through throughout the county and how we can assist them. This program has since moved to a model of once a month, and we have pushed it a little bit more into the recovery period. So we're now still talking about funding, but we're also talking about what it means for our downtowns to open back up and what that looks like, what support is needed. So we had 3 different committees. I chaired the activation committee. Kate Manley of the Rensselaer County Regional Chamber of Commerce, got somebody else coming in here, was with the Resources and Best Practices Committee, and Dylan Turek from the City of Troy headed the Communications Committee. And those committees have since combined into a working group, but lots of great individuals from lots of entities locally that are working in small business and really trying to understand, you know, what's going on throughout our county, throughout the capital region, and throughout the state. The Community Activation Committee created the Troy Summer Square program, which we saw. Thank you so much to the city for making this program possible. But we created these activation zones for public use and performances. We included outdoor dining spaces for individuals, businesses to expand into their downtown. We created a takeout area where we could incorporate the Unity House Ambassador program to go ahead and engage with our community and make sure people felt safe. And then there was a lot of different cultural arts programming that took place alongside that program as well. And for a version of this is going to be happening again this year. The Resources and Best Practices Committee and Communications Committees also created basic information resources, including you guys actually probably, if you've been walking around to different businesses or if you're a business yourself, likely have seen those clings that remind us to stay distanced and to make sure that we are washing our hands, wearing a mask, things like that. This committee also just tried to share as much information for Summer Square as possible and share information among our community as to resources that were needed. So marketing and tourism in 2020, COVID support small business page. We recognized that our community was looking for so many ways to engage with our downtown, even though they couldn't necessarily be in the spaces. So we created a page that really was all about supporting local businesses, gave people ideas as to how they could do that, and then also inform the public about any information that you guys had that you wanted people to be updated with, who was doing outdoor dining, who was just doing takeout, who had the ability for curbside pickup, all of those things so that we can understand and help our community recognize how they can support our businesses throughout the incredibly difficult year that it's been. Social media education for businesses. We realized during the pandemic that some of our businesses were not using social media. And in a digital world, we recognize the importance of social media and for people to be able to engage with your business when you can't be open during COVID. So Joyce Chan, our communications administrator, was actually working directly with some business owners to help them understand how to use social media to start pages, to understand the content and how to engage with individuals through their social accounts. We also encourage people to attend the SBDC webinars, which talked about different social platforms, shopping sites, things like that, and just pushing people to understand that in this digital age, it's so important to be using social media, websites, all those things. For business development or retention, expanded in 2020. Our media relations is always a big part of what we do at the bid, trying to engage the local media with your businesses. This past year, we ended up doing a monthly email with our local media outlets, giving them pitch ideas for pitches, stories that they might want to cover. We also tried to use our pivoted events, which I'll explain a little bit, to engage the local media companies in everything that we were doing throughout the year. We also use our social engagement as much as possible. Our social media has grown quite a lot over the past 2 years since our last annual meeting. And it's so important for us to be pushing as much as we possibly can on those accounts in ways that it's going to be effective. So this past year, we added Troy homeschool sessions and Instagram takeovers. We also this year have created more reels and are trying to engage with our community in different ways. We are also almost to 10,000 followers, which is pretty fun on Instagram. We also started using LinkedIn more, and we're using more for the Learn, Connect, Grow series. However, that has engaged more directly with some of those professional businesses that we have had a little less impact in before. We have always had business spotlights, but we also added this year some business features. We tried to highlight different businesses through our stories and making sure that we were sharing as much as possible throughout the pandemic. We also did a couple of stories takeovers with local bloggers. We took over the RPI admissions account, which was pretty awesome, right before the holiday season, and all of them went home. We made sure that all their students knew exactly what was happening downtown so that they could go ahead and buy their gifts before they left for the holidays. We worked with a local fashion blogger to look at all of the different spaces for clothing downtown, and that she was able to showcase a lot of different businesses during that takeover with a lot of engagement. We always use our newsletters and for downtown happenings, and that has had a lot more engagement over the past year. We're also in 2021 adding that onto our website as blog posts. So anything that's going on that people need to know about, that's being added to our website as well. The holidays was such an important time for our community that we really showcased our small businesses, made sure that individuals knew how they could support our business owners within our community, and really help them understand who the individuals are, the face behind the business, so that they understood who they were supporting. A shout out to Petra from Anchor Number 5 for an incredible illustration that she did, if you saw the holiday branding. We also connected with the Rensselaer County Chamber of Commerce to offer a bingo card alongside Victorian Stroll, which lasted for the entire month. And we offered our kind of usual programming in different ways. So we did a virtual ringing of the bells, Black Friday, Turn It Out. Sorry. I'm talking too much, can't need some water. Small Business Saturday, I think there was such a large success from many businesses with just an outpouring of support from our local community for shopping. We also did a local holiday gifting guide on our website and just tried to push people as much as possible into our businesses. Our advertising looked a little different this year, but we did work with Albany Broadcasting for 10 weeks to push the importance of shopping local. We also advertised on the Albany Visitors Guide through Discover Albany, and worked with the New York Press Association around the holidays to be included in up to 50 newspapers throughout the region. So we wanted to make sure that individuals were seeing that our downtown was open, that we were talking about the fact that our downtown was open, and whether people wanted to be in person or using their online platforms, we were going to push them to you no matter what. So a couple fun facts if you're interested in some of our most frequented pages on our website. The Shop, Dine, and Explore pages are definitely one of those top pages viewed. We also had a lot of engagement with Restaurant Week this year. Trying It Out is always very consistent as well. So we are almost at 10,000 followers on Instagram. So if you are not following us yet, go ahead and push that, because there are differences in once we hit 10,000 and what we are able to do on Instagram. So we are trying to get to that mark, and that is almost doubled what it was in 2018. So a shout out to Joyce for really pushing everything that she's doing, and making sure that we are reaching more followers every day. And we also wanted to note the average engagement of our Facebook page, which is mostly women, 70% ages 35 to 44. We are finding that we have a very good local network, but we're also reaching people throughout the US and beyond, which I think is very tied to the colleges within our community, to the parents and people who are living elsewhere, but also going to school here. This next year in 2021, we are building out a tourism content library. We are working with Jamel Mosley from Melly Media on creating images of up to 50 businesses throughout the year, so that we have the ability to share those with local tourism entities on our social accounts and our newsletters on our website, and to push out through advertising. So we are looking to connect with different businesses. We have a list to start with, and then we will be adding more as that comes available. We are also working with Chromoscope Pictures to create 12 videos throughout the year. And that will be tourism-based videos encouraging people to get out in Troy. There's a wide variety of themes for these videos. We are starting with a maker video that will be filmed very soon. We're also talking about international foods, architecture, shopping, dining outside, all sorts of different things. We're also doing a highlight on some of our businesses that you wouldn't necessarily recognize are in Troy without looking up to those second and third floors, and a focus on our personal service businesses as well. We will also be upping our advertising campaign for the year. We did receive a grant in the end of 2020 to be able to do some of these things that we're doing this year, which will allow us to, I think we're probably around $15,000 to $20,000 in additional advertising. We have put advertising in the Discover Upstate New York map, which is located in all of the tourism I Love New York spaces throughout New York. And it's also in the associated kiosks. We will also work with our local bloggers, influencers to do some additional Instagram takeovers, digital marketing campaigns, as well as advertising more traditionally. For special events, I will run through these pretty quickly, but our Capital Region Grown Up Egg Hunt was going to be new this year. It was not able to happen in its traditional form, so we ended up doing it a little later once things opened back up a bit, and engaged our community in some of the fun events that were missed during COVID. So that ended up being a scavenger hunt, which was a lot of fun. We reimagined a lot in 2020, which included our Fitness in the Park program, Rockin' on Stage, Riverfest Ramble. Starting for the year, though, we did have our annual Party and Sammy Awards, which incorporated our new business of the year, which was Kwan's Vietnamese Bistro, Famous Lunch, and Fred Miller for our Sammy Spirit Award. We had such a fun program for that with a really lively event, and we're happy to be able to get that out. In 2021, we were able to do that in a very different way, but it was nice to be able to have that before everything shut down. We did incorporate the Riverfest Ramble this year. A lot of our festivals were not able to happen in their traditional formats. Therefore, we kind of shifted them into new different events. So Riverfest Ramble ended up being a 3-day program that included sidewalk sales, a twilight shopping evening, demos, pop-ups, and a family day. Fitness in the Park was able to happen. We limited it to 50 people. Thank you to CDPHP for allowing that to still remain an event for the year, and we will be doing that again this year. Rockin' on the River is usually quite a large event, and this past year we ended up having a 50-person in-person gathering each week. And then we also stream that online. So we had about 900 people watching virtually every single week. And during those programs, we pushed for people to do takeout, to come early and do some shopping, to visit your online shops, and really encourage people to be shopping, dining, and exploring our downtown. Not necessarily at the event because it was very a small amount of people. We are reaching a much broader group of individuals through the virtual program. For Troy Restaurant Week, we ended up collaborating with Pig Out because Pig Out was not possible. So we ended up doing a 10-day program instead, and engaged a lot of individuals. As you can see, that was one of our most frequented pages throughout the year. So people always love to eat. So it was a great program for the year. Troy Chowder Fest, we turned into a bingo card, and it was called Get Cozy in Troy, because it was getting colder out. We want to make sure that people recognize that our businesses were still open and that they could go out and get cozy with these businesses. So we actually had quite a few individuals sign up for that. 172 people signed up to actually get the bingo card directly to their inbox. We had a lot of engagement with that online and as well as with the local media. Troy Night Outs, we in early COVID ended up having to do them virtually, but we are glad that they are back in person, and just continue to bring people to our downtown and to remind them consistently that we are open. For public service and beautification, we ended up having student workers who were able to join us from the Rensselaer County Summer Youth Program, which was amazing to have that support. We also had some planter improvements they supported with Hadget Hardware supplies that were donated to paint some of our planters. We also had Vicina come in and support us in that. For plants and trees, we held off on the tree planting program in 2020, and also with the hanging basket program, just because the changes in our funding. We'll go over funding in a second, but we will be bringing back those hanging baskets, and we just recently planted 10 trees in our downtown. Our street cleaning program is still going, and it did not change much during the year other than that we're doing a combination of both cleaning and of those planters instead of those hanging baskets. We also did holiday planters and decor alongside the holidays. For our Sidewalk Butler program, we were actually recognized by TerraCycle, which is a cigarette butt recycling. Well, it's a recycling company, but they also recycle cigarette butts. And we have supported that program by having the Sidewalk Butlers within our community, collecting those cigarette butts, sending them for recycling. And we actually, a huge shout out and thank you to Shirley Buell and Peter Tarantelli, who made that program possible. Shirley continues to pick up those butts very regularly, and we are sending those for recycling. It's a great way to divert those cigarette butts from our downtown streets. I did also want to note in 2019, we had a playground initiative. We worked with Adirondack Studios to design a playground for Riverfront Park. So that playground was supported by the Troy Local Development Corporation and City of Troy. To be able to work with them directly, with Adirondack Studios, who is an incredible company, to be able to have a charrette process to figure out what our community wanted and needed in a playground. We look forward to being able to fundraise for this program once we have a further idea of what the Riverfront Park revitalization development looks like in the coming years. But we are hoping that in the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years, that we will have a nice, really beautiful downtown parking, instead of the parking lot, that we will have a playground. A little bit about our finances. I won't get into too much detail. You can go ahead and look at the report when I send it out if you want to see all the specifics. But our income this is quickly for 2019 and 20. It also does note our 2018, even though normally we just do the past year. You will notice it includes 2018 just because we were not able to have our annual meeting last year due to the pandemic. For our income this year, our net income was negative $40,911.07. Keeping in mind, most of our income actually comes from those large scale events and the sponsorships around those events. So our tax assessment, unlike most bids, does not cover the majority of our expenses. So we actually had lost quite a bit of money this year due to the lack of those events. However, we are still in a fine financial position. We do, I'll explain a little bit, have a money market and everything lined up just in case we need to dip into that. We were able to get a PPP loan this year, which supported us with additional funding to make sure that we were not losing too much and that we were financially stable. We also worked with the local development corporation on some of our programming around Summer Square, and we're able to have them support us in that. A lot of those sponsorships that we normally bring in are tied to those events. So we are also not expecting a lot of that sponsorship to really come back until about 2022. For 2019, I did want to note, you will notice that it's slightly lower in actual net income with $18,590.69, because that is, we spent money on programs. So we went ahead and started that playground charrette process, design process with Adirondack Studios. And we also did our strategic plan. So that played into the difference in income that you're seeing here. For the foundation net income, I'll explain the foundation in a little bit, but we were at negative $1,852.96. And the year prior, we had spent money on the playground. So it looks like we've actually lost money, but really we were spending money that we had specifically for that program. So that was at negative $13,235.45. Also, if anybody ever has questions about finances, please let me know and I'll go through it with you individually. I did want to note that our tax assessment has slowly been increasing as more buildings come online within our downtown. Please note that that tax assessment is specifically tied to commercial buildings within our downtown district. And as these buildings are renovated and brought online, that does support our tax assessment, which is very helpful, especially throughout this pandemic, being able to have an increase in income from that tax assessment. You will notice that our foundation income was less, obviously, without those events. You'll notice the playground is on here. Our contributions and our rental income will show very differently in 2019 or in 2020 and 2021 because of the lack of our office space now. We had a flood during COVID, and therefore we no longer have rental income coming in, and the contributions that were tied to our rent have changed at this point. For expenses, during 2020, we're lucky that our events did not happen in the same capacity, so that they did not cost the same amount of money to operate. Therefore, that helped with some of our expenses. However, as you can tell, our expenses are still higher than the tax assessment, which means that we still need to bring in additional revenue in order to support everything that we are doing downtown. I do want to also note our staffing has increased over the years with cost of living increases. We also added a part-time staff member in 2019, which unfortunately we had to let go at the very end of 2020 because we recognized that things were not changing. We were able to cover a lot of that with the PPP loan, but recognizing that events are still not possible in the same format as before, we recognized the need to remove that staff member. Other items to note for the foundation events, special events, you will notice in here all of those changes in income. So if you have any questions about that kind of stuff, just let me know. As I mentioned before, the Downtown Troy bid created a money market in 2018. This is $100,000 that we had set aside from net income over the past couple of years to make sure that we had a nugget that we can access if we absolutely need to. This is because so much of our income is tied directly with those events. We recognize the need to have something to draw on if we had to. So that is a separate bank account. It holds that money that we do not access unless we absolutely need to. The finance committee and the board manage those funds. The Downtown Troy Bid Foundation was formed in 2015. So when you're looking at those finances, you will just want to make sure that you're recognizing the difference between the foundation and the bid. A lot of that income between the two organizations is combined just for easily understanding that information. But if you ever have any questions about the difference between those organizations and how they work with one another, definitely feel free to reach out and let me know. This is about our event revenue. Obviously, it's much different than it would be in a normal year. For Rockin' on the River, you will notice that it shows that we had quite a bit of income. This is because of the grant that we had in order to support a lot of the events programming that took place during the year. So that covered Rockin' on the River and some of the Summer Square initiatives in order for us to be there and support those initiatives. I can go through more of this if you have any questions specifically about any of our finances, but it's all pretty clear on here if you want to look at the report later. Riverfest, Pig Out Chowder Fest, we talked about the fact that those events did not really happen all that much they happened, but in very different ways and not in ways that would bring in income. Presentations and recognition. So this past year, we were called upon a lot by the state, by different entities throughout the state that were looking for information about what it means to support downtown. So I presented at the Troy Summer Square for the Capital District Regional Planning Commission. We also worked with the New York Conference of Mayors to talk about the effects of the pandemic on our small businesses. And how we had gone about that. We had a lot of different individuals from different communities reach out looking to see how they could support their own communities with kind of looking to Troy as an example. Rockin' on the River in 2019 was voted best free concert series for the Times Union for the second year. And then TerraCycle had recognized our Sidewalk Butler program as the #1 collector. So I know that was a whole lot. If you have any questions about any of the information that I went over, please feel free to ask me individually. I will open it up for questions on this call as well. A huge thank you to our sponsors again, Pioneer Bank and Community Preservation Corporation for this program. We would not be able to do what we do without the support of our sponsors, of local grantors. Just the ability to have funding coming in to support what we're doing is so important. So a huge thank you to them for being here to support us. I'm gonna stop sharing. And if anybody has, let's get out of this. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. You can also write in the chat if you would like instead. Anybody feel free to raise your hand too if you have any thoughts or questions. Great, well, I will go ahead and end it there. A huge thank you for you all for attending today. If you have anybody who asked questions about what happened today, feel free to let them know. I will be sending out an email to all of our members, which includes the annual report, which is a brief version of what I gave to you guys today. I am sorry it took up so much of your time, but I appreciate you sticking around and listening and learning about what the bid has done over the past couple of years and how we would love to support you in the coming year. Great. Any last questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? All right, well, thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to connecting with you guys this year. Go ahead and look out for that email from us later today or early tomorrow, depending, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.